Great minds, come let us reason together. Great minds, we are open to reality. Oh, we want no more, we are hungry for more. We are curious, always searching for the truth. Great minds, come let us reason together. Great minds, come let us reason together. Come let us reason. Great minds, come let us reason together. Great minds, come let us reason.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Great Minds, the Young Girl Adult Talk Forum. Today, I have the singular honor of being the host. Oh, and co-host. Yes, Sinclair is here. So, Sinclair, I'm happy you're here. I have successfully handed over to you. Please take over.
Oh no, you were doing absolutely fantastic. But thank you. My co-host Albie, we're grateful to be here. I thank all of you for joining us. It is great to have all of us to be on here. This is a young adult real talk forum, a place where great minds meet to talk about real issues in today's Christian society. Albie, are you excited?
I am. I am so excited. One, because today is International Women's Day, and two, because we have mighty men of valor joining us today. So I am really excited.
Amen. All of the men you see here are distinguished. All of the men you see here are very thoughtful. And so today I am extremely excited to dive into some of the discussions we're going to have today. Albie, you want to tell us what we're talking about today?
Yes. So before I start, I would like to wish all women a happy International Women's Day. We value you. We adore you. We want to say that keep going, keep excelling, and keep making the world a better place. So today we are going to talk about a very exciting topic, which is going to be very educating as well. And I pray that if you have not yet invited a friend, please send them the link and ask them to join us. We are talking about unspoken wounds. Wow, I just have to sigh before I give the summary of it. So, in a society where the question of what is a man in itself can raise all kinds of debate, our discussion today focuses on the men who know who they are and what it takes to be a man. We are seeking for them to peel back all the layers and all the walls that have crowded their judgment, and we are attempting to speak on the unspoken wounds of the things that most men would rather stay silent about in an attempt to heal from wounds that they never talked out loud about. So we hope that our panelists today will come all out and share their experiences with us so that we all talk about any unspoken wounds that we may be harboring in us. Thank you.
Amen. Before we go any further, if I did not say it already, we start the show in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
I haven't had the pleasure to meet all of the panelists that we have on here. So, Albie, since you are great in actually saying the names, I struggle with saying Ghanaian names. I'm gonna need your help to help me out before I butcher somebody's name. So, help me out, would you?
Okay, so joining us in the studio today, we have Dr. David Mensah. Welcome. Can you give us a wave? Okay, we have our brother Samuel Dankwa. Can you give us a wave or a smile? Okay, yeah, here you go. We have our brother, God bless, Pelbu. God bless. We are happy to have you here. Mr. Kumi is yet to join us, but we also have our brother Ernest Jomo. Welcome back, Ernest. Thank you. So good to have you. And Sinclair, do you have any icebreakers for us?
Yes. So those who haven't had the pleasure of being on here, I usually have just a quick icebreaker before we get into it. Um, I am going to go with Elder Sam. I'm going to start with you, okay? Hope you don't mind. um, the question that I have, and it's for everybody, but I guess you're the one who's going to get it first. What is something that you can think of that your father or a father figure told you that never made sense until you got older?
Um, Praise God. Good evening. I'm so grateful to be on this show. I would like to say thank you to the organizers of this show, and also to thank I mean, everyone who is watching us from wherever in the world. I mean, you're most welcome to this great show. I believe, I believe there are things that growing up, our fathers will tell us that are not really doesn't really sit well with us. Where it's like you can't make it in life, where it's like it will be hard for you because you don't listen or follow whatever I tell you or the direction I give you specifically. So those words are words that really got to some of us growing up. But in a way, it also became a catalyst to prove to them that, I mean, they are just mere words, even though they
Mm,
hurt. They bring people down, they bring emotions down, and it's very difficult to resonate with them at some point in time because you feel like, how can a whole father figure or somebody you are looking up to would not even have confidence in you growing up, you know? So these are very important things that some people face in life, in church, which is a family setting, in a community, or let me say in a family where we belong, like biological father, biological mother, stepfather,
mhm.
step. I mean, all those things comes into play. This is something that people really go through in life, and I believe it takes the grace of God to be able to push yourself through out of these words.
Yeah.
So this is what I have to say about the question.
No, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. Thank you so much. No, thank you. David, and then after that, God bless, and then Elder Ernest, you'll be the last one to tell us what you have in mind. I'm saying that so you can prepare yourself. I don't want you to be I don't want you to be shocked when it's your turn. All right, David, please. Do you have an answer for what I asked? If you want me to repeat, I can do that as well.
Yeah, you can repeat for me.
Okay. All right. So, what is something that you can think of that your father or a father figure told you that never made sense until you got older?
I mean, it's difficult to say that there was something that was said to me that didn't make sense to me,
Okay.
because I always try to understand what people are saying and relate it to the situation around. And um, I would say everything that they told me made sense that time because it was an example from a life somebody was living. So
Hmm.
everything made sense to me till until now. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay.
That's a great point.
All right. My turn, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
First of all, thank you so much once again for inviting me for the second time. Um, I think this really puts me in my thinking shoes because, like, there's been a lot of things that I've been told either by my dad or a father figure that at that point I didn't fully grasp the whole thing. But as I progress, I tend to, get the understanding more. So there are a lot, but I'll just pick one. This one was told or mentioned to me by my JHS social studies teacher, right? So he said something like, it I don't have it word perfect, but I'll just give a paraphrase of it. So he kind of said that you have to basically, like, there are a lot of things that the elders or the people that are ahead of us know, that we don't know. In fact, he said there are a lot of things that if they sit down to say, or they sit down, they can see that we can't see, right? And at that point, in JHS, you don't really have a lot of understanding in those things. And sometimes, even if you understand it, you take it face value until experience kind of like opens it for you to realize that there are a lot of things that actually the elders know that you don't know. Even the Bible corroborates it very beautifully, that follow them who through faith and patience, right? So people have done it. And then when you are young, you see there is this kind of pride, there is this kind of, way that you think that, oh, you are the boss, you are the center of attraction in this world. But then when I progressed a little bit, I realized that I have to be more humble to listen to those who are ahead of me, be it in my academic setting, be it in my church, be it wherever I find myself. It's not that you are being shy or timid, but you have to assume a position of humility whenever you come into contact with people who are ahead of you. Because whether you like it or not, they have something that you don't have, which is experience. So I think that thing has proven to be very, very true. So I keep it close to my heart to honor every one that I see above me, one way or the other, or even my colleagues. Yeah, so such a beautiful thing.
Thank you so much.
So, Elder Jimo, before you go, I would like to pass a comment. Sinclair, your panelists, they mean business, because this was meant to be an icebreaker. It was meant to be a joke, but they are so serious about it. Elder Jimo, you can go ahead, please.
Yeah, so thank you. Thanks, everyone. I think all panelists have added their voice to it. One thing that I recall my social studies teacher said to me, it was, he said, the word has so many excuses, but the word is never prepared to take any. The word has so many excuses, but the word is never prepared to take any. This was said around 1991. Until date, I have never forgotten it.
Wow.
Now, the description or the understanding of it is that, look, you can be born today, your mother will die, your father will die. If you don't become successful, you can blame the word for taking your mother and your father. But the word is never prepared to take that excuse. So it is not an avenue for you to give excuses. So whatever that you want to do, yes, something may go wrong, something may not go as planned. You can always apportion blame, but the word is not ready to take any level of excuses. So the word that we live in, you can throw everything out to the word. Yeah, you are the reason why I'm not successful. Yes, you lost your job, that's why you're not successful. The word is ready to take it, but it's not ready to accept it. You can say it to the word, but you'll never accept it. So that is something that he has said to me way back, and till date, I still remember that word, exact word. Yeah, thank you.
Glory be to God. Glory be to God. Thank you so much. That's powerful. I remember a lot of things that my dad has said that really didn't make sense. I was thinking, I was listening to God Bless, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of how I felt, where I'm like, I'm trying to analyze it with my intellect. And at the time, my intellect was not arriving to where his was, especially my father. So it didn't really resonate with me. And I remember one time he said something that, I'm only hard on you because I don't want you to make the mistakes that I made.
Wow.
And I'm like, what mistakes? Just let me live my life. What mistakes have you made? And it took when I got older until I realized what he meant, and same thing with me and my son. I'm trying to teach him the things so he doesn't repeat some of the things I have. So I appreciate all of you guys and your answers. We welcome Emmanuel. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you hear us?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome. We thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you making the time for us. Albie, go ahead and give us the disclaimer so we can go ahead and get started.
Okay, so the following conversation is not tied to any specific church, but it's focused on the Christian society and community as a whole. At this point, we want to call all great minders at home to join us, chat in your questions, chat in your comments, and just join us in the studio and let's have fun. All right, Sinclair, are you ready with our questions?
Yes, I am. I want to actually go right into it. The topic that we're kind of focusing on today is about unspoken wounds. Specifically, as men, we have been taught a lot to just keep a lot inside and not say anything. I think growing up, specifically even for me, it's almost like that is where you demonstrate your strength by how much you can hold in. And as I remember, I feel like it's how much you can hold in until you explode. But we have learned that there are certain things that it will be best if it's spoken. So I'm praying that today we find it within ourselves to go ahead and peel back some of these layers so we can learn. And for those who are listening to us can also learn from what we have learned. So right into it, because we are all church folks, I believe. And if you don't go to church, you can raise your hands and let me know. But have you ever been hurt? This question goes directly for God bless, because I feel like me and you were right here for a minute. So I'll start with you. Have you ever been hurt in church but felt you couldn't speak about it? And then after that, I would like David to chime in on that after that. Go ahead, God bless.
Yeah, wow. That's a very serious question, honestly. Yes. Yes, the answer is yes. And you know, it's like the reason it hurts most of the time, personally to me, is that it comes from people that you don't expect it to come from. That's like the thing. It's like people that you've held at a certain pedestal. You were a young Christian trying to grow, but there are certain people that you've held at a pedestal, maybe in your mind or based on the things that you've seen, that you did not expect something like that to, come from them. But one way or the
Yeah.
other, you just kind of like, either by their actions or by their words, you tend to get into this position where you are being hurt, right? And the reason that I felt that, you know, I shouldn't say anything about it, or I wasn't compelled to, confront the person or say anything about it, is personally something or a revelation that I've come to embody, right? You know, even in the house of God, there is definitely going to be temptations, right? There are a lot of things that can come to you at any time, but specifically, the devil can attack you in the house of God. If you want to grow, you have to sometimes go through these things. When you go through them, at the end of the day, you tend to learn something out of it. So let me give a particular example, like how, you know someone might say something and the thing might hurt, and then you don't have to kind of retaliate, in my opinion, or you don't have to, be compelled to say anything. For example, someone like Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, right? He had all his disciples around him. He knew exactly who was going to betray him, right? He knew
Mhm.
it. He knew. In fact, he is the guy who was like kind of like holding his money and everything. But someone like Peter, that Jesus Christ, someone would say wouldn't expect him to leave him, because like he's kind of like the leading apostle for them, right? When Jesus
Right.
Christ was caught and then he was taken away, Peter fled. And secondly, when Jesus ascended, Peter went back fishing. I think this thing will like so much hurt Jesus Christ, that this guy that I've invested 3 years of my life on earth to train as the lead apostle, to lead my people, to lead my flock. Jesus had to mention to him 3 times, Peter, do you love the flock? Right? And then he will say yes. Then Jesus Christ will tell him to go and do the job 3 times, right? So it means even the people that you trust, or the people that you put at a certain pedestal, whether in church or in family or any area, and talking about church specifically, they have the potential to do something that might hurt you. But I believe, as our Lord and Savior Jesus did, you shouldn't retaliate in a negative way, or you shouldn't act in a negative way. That thing, you should expect it. I think it's something that we need to expect. So when you expect that kind of thing, you need to learn from it and grow. One thing that you can do for me personally is to pray for that person so that it doesn't happen to a believer who maybe when that thing happens to that person, the person will leave church or something like that. So I think to wrap everything up, it has happened to me before, and I wasn't in any way compelled to, do something like about it immediately. Yeah. So
All right. David, what you got?
Okay, yeah. So for me, I wouldn't call it hate, but then I would say I was disappointed because throughout my life, I've decided not to be so much reliant on people or depend on people to the extent where I'll feel hurt, or if something that I'm looking up to wasn't given to me, or I didn't get it, I will be hurt. But then I was disappointed because I had gone to the church. I grew up in that church, though my mom and dad were not in the church. I grew up in the church and everything, and then I had an opportunity and I went to the church to support me financially, but then I was told the church doesn't have anything like that. So I was shocked because they do have welfare, and the welfare, they go to people's funeral and stuff. So for me, I was like, that was my thinking, that since they have the welfare and the welfare goes like to people's funeral and other stuff, they should also have something for people's education and stuff. But it turns out that wasn't the case. So I was disappointed, really, really disappointed. I made a decision not to go to church again. But then somebody within the church helped me with what I needed. So it was like, was it balanced, or the church really hurt me? But for me, I was disappointed. I wasn't here. I was disappointed in the church. But then for individuals, I was okay. But then the church as a whole, I was disappointed that they don't have something like that to support people when they are in need for certain things like education. But then they have something for funerals and childbirth. Like, we mobilize and go and give you something for your childbirth, or you are um, getting married, we do something for you, or somebody dies in your family, we give something to you. But then when you need money to go to school or to advance your education, the church doesn't have that. So I was really disappointed. Yeah.
Wait, I'm gonna stay with you for a second. Just have a quick follow up. Do you think that comes from the inability to illustrate or to illuminate the purpose of the welfare funds, or does it come from just our expectations of what it's supposed to be used for?
Okay, so one, I would say it comes from our expectation that once we are in church, the church should do something for us. But also, I would say, as a church or as a body, we should have um, divisions of things that we do. Like in the welfare, there should be some allocated for funeral support, and the others allocated for education and other surgery or healthcare issues. Because as a body, we know that not everybody will experience bereavement. There are people that will experience health issues. There are those that will experience what do we call it, education issues. So with that, how do you work around that? So as a church, when we are developing a welfare plan or a welfare foundation within the church, we should factor in all these things and not just look at just one side. Okay, this is the most popular thing that people are always asking help from, so this is what we are going to allocate all monies for. And also, sometimes not everybody can contribute to the welfare or pay welfare dues or pay dues for the welfare. But we should know that once the person is a member of the church, it should be helped. We can't say that, okay, you don't pay dues, so we are not helping. It's like a club. No, the church is not like a club. The church is like a community. The church is like a family. In a community, when somebody is not able to contribute to something, it doesn't mean the person should be cut off from the community. You help the person to get on their feet so that they could also contribute. So I think this is something that the church should look at. Yeah.
All right, appreciate it. Albie?
Yes, thank you very much for your submission. You know, Usually, when it comes to men and women, women are more open about their vulnerabilities. It's as if men don't have any vulnerabilities at all. So, Samuel, I'm gonna start with no, Emmanuel. I'm gonna go to you, and then after that, Elder Jomo, I want you to take this question. In what ways can vulnerability be a strength or a weakness for men? Do you guys even have vulnerabilities at all? And if you do, in what ways can it be a strength or a weakness? Yeah,
Uh,
Emmanuel,
uh,
I'm gonna let you go, and then Elder Juma will take.
okay. So, you know, I think the best way to handle issues like that and also to share your opinion with whatever comes your way as a man is by looking at it in a Christian way, like not showing your weakness too much for the fact that because it happens to me. And when you think about the fact that just like how my brothers have said already, that um, you are not expecting that to come from that person. You are not expecting that to come from somebody you try to look up to or somebody you are trying to take something from, somebody you are trying to learn something from. But it comes from that direction. It comes from that point of that kind of weakness, and you get disappointed sometimes, but you don't want to talk about it so much, especially in the public face, because it will go deep down in you when you bring it out, especially in the public face, and then it will drop your spirit whenever you see that particular moment or whenever you see that person coming your way. So you have the mindset of what should I do? How is it going to help me in this manner? And it's a whole lot that if you don't come in a point of understanding that it is something I've been called to do, it is something I need to handle this way, it is something I need to share with somebody that can help me advance or do it more better in an understanding way. So um,
Sorry,
it's a
sorry, my brother. So I want to ask this question: Are
yes.
men vulnerable? Do you think that as a man you are vulnerable?
Sometimes,
You are okay.
sometimes,
Okay.
Men are.
sometimes,
Yes.
So
yes.
in that vulnerable moment, do you see it as a strength or a weakness? Because the point of our conversation is that we are trying to scrape off all the layers that you and all you see, like how you have several layers. You have an
All
inner,
right.
you have a shirt, you have a blazer. So like all those layers that you use to cover your emotions, you are trying to scrape all those off. So do you see vulnerability as a weakness or as a strength?
I think it's a way of strengthening you, and also it will weak you at a point, but it's a way of strengthening you because you learn from that, and then the next time you know how to handle such issues when it comes your way. So that is what I think. It will break you, but it's a way of strengthening you as well.
Mm, great.
If I have made a point.
Yes, you have. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hmm.
Elder, you want to chime in, Ernest?
Yeah. This is a serious question. I mean, sometimes
Mhm.
men are too vulnerable than what even people think, because we are trained in such a way that we need to have that resistance to pain, and we are able to endure. But trust me, that every man is vulnerable. Now the problem is that when men are vulnerable, there are two places that they want to what release that stress, because men don't talk too much. If they home, and I say if the home, if the wife is that calm and ready to listen, it is easy for the man to communicate in that angle and then get a result from there. However, because a lot of time women are so emotional and ends up talking at length, when a man becomes so vulnerable, they tend to rather go direct to their fellow men who they can share and what and communicate with. Their fellow men may be having their own level of problems, but because they are able to communicate in that angle of man to man, it may not solve it, but then we are able to what just think through and say, oh, after all, but I'm also going through the same thing. So in that context, you begin to feel like, okay, so this becomes normal. And just like one of the panelists said, I had a very huge expectation for one of our apostles, and I have worked for the church for almost 15 years before I move out. And as part of the things that we as office staffs used to gain, there was a change in leadership. Apostle came in, and then one person went back, and then another person came, and then he has to slash everything that we were taking. However, since I was working under him, I was the one that was buying everything that he needed. So I knew that even the level of soap that he used to buy was was 3 times the amount of my salary. And so in that context, you understand the level of pain that you have, that everything that was supposed to come, not just to me, we were about 5 in the office that were supposed to come to us. This man has slashed it off. And yet I will still be ordered to go and buy even soap alone that the person used to, bath was 3 times heavier than my salary. And so at one point, like somebody said, I just bust off. I had hold it in myself to the extent that I couldn't control myself again. So I just have to go to him straight up in the house, told him point blank, A, B, C, D, this thing that you are doing, it is not God's like. This was an apostle. The pedigree from me being an office secretary and him being an apostle. But there was nothing I could do. And that is why even in the Bible context, we are told that when Jesus has noticed that his friend Lazarus was dead, he wept. So the pain in you, when it has reached a certain stage that you cannot more control, you will definitely burst off. So yes, it's true, men are very, very vulnerable, but it takes us to understand our own self from the context of another man who has also gone through the same situation or have experienced the same thing that we have experienced. Sometimes when I get to set die knees, I don't want to talk to my wife, not because he cannot help, but I don't want a situation where, women are so. I have this philosophy that in marriage, women are the most sensible people, but men are those that take decisions. So you talk to your wife now, your wife will bring up ideas. Wisdom just bounce into their head fast. But as a man, you have to take that wisdom or those ideas that have come, sieve it out, and make the right decision. Because if it tends to go with yes, trust me, sometimes, but now most of us would have probably left the church a long time ago. And so, yeah, the pain is there. You cannot harbor the pain anymore. You want to share. But because you are sharing to somebody or someone who is so emotionally attached to certain things like your wife or a lady, you tend to pick those emotions and carry it on. But if you talk to somebody like Sinclair, you tell it out, bro, I understand your pain. That's why you're a man. You understand? Let's just brush it off. You get something just to tell you that what lift you up, and then you forget about it. So yes, men are really vulnerable. I have a share of my own pain. I left my children after church. I am the church guy. Trust me. I am the church guy. I will do everything. I did everything. And then one night on Wednesday, I used my vehicle. Pick a lot of church people. Went to park the car. The next day, somebody has taken the car, and the car was gone. I told my church, instead of us as a church to think about what can we do to help him. I was the church secretary. We started praying. We are organizing fasting and listening to pray. The person is gone with the car. The car is not coming back. But we are fasting and we're praying. And how many years now? 18 years down the line, the car has never come back. Right? And as a church,
Of course.
and as a church, I was the brain behind helping people who are not even church members. So when I see somebody going through pain, I'd rather go every length to make sure that as a church, you have to go and support the person. But when it has happened to me, as of today, not even one person did the church give me. And I left my children in Ghana for 3 years, went to school in UK, and not a single church member or an elder or an officer, including the pastors, not one of them even paid a visit to my children. So when I returned back, I felt like, was it a neglect, or was it like, I felt like it was something intentional. So that pain in me made me say, okay, fine. Well, at least I'll come to the church, but I still have my transfer card with me. I will never go and submit my transfer card to the same church. I am not going back in there because I've been treated unfairly. So it's just like the expectation. Sometimes we expect that as a church we should do more, just like Prof said. But when those expectation is reduced to nothing, trust me, you feel the pain of it.
Wow. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. It reminds me of a book that I once had. It was called "Hurt by God's People," and the reference
Wow.
that it was making was that God is not His people. So what we have a tendency to do that we superimpose or we personify God onto the people that are supposed to lead us to God. And then whatever they do, we think God is doing it to us, and then we stop going to church or we stop praying or whatever the case may be. I'm grateful to God that you were able to see God through all of it and not basically, stop you from your faith. That's a very, very hard thing to go through. I'm gonna change this question up to Elder Samuel, and then I want God bless to chime in because we're talking about vulnerability and honesty. I
Yeah.
have a tendency to think that there is a correlation between vulnerability and honesty. I
Uh-huh.
think, especially in America, they have a tendency to say that men should be more honest. But in our attempt to be honest, we sometimes have to be vulnerable. So, my question is it always best to lead every situation with honesty? Because then you're availing yourself to being more vulnerable. How do you navigate?
I believe, I mean, even as Elder Jumo submitted, all men are vulnerable in the church setting, but it also has to do with our character traits. We are different people coming from different backgrounds, and when we come to church, the church doesn't really transform everyone within a specific period of time. We go through process, and I believe that this process teaches us how to approach issues every now and then. When you read the book of Colossians, it says that we should make allowance for each other's faults. And you see, it depends on how matured you are in Christianity or in God. I mean, we all have been hurt by our probably elders or pastors or whoever is our leader, or even from the up to bottom approach. Some pastors have also been hurt by elders and then members and all that. But the whole approach is, the whole thing is, how do we handle such issues? I believe that as a man, whatever happens to you in church, or if anybody hurts you, the best thing is to address the issue there. And I mean, you just have to be honest about the situation, just open up and talk about it. Because once you keep it inside you and you take it home, the mind will start processing the whole issue to a different trajectory. And what happens is that you start to talk about it to people, and it creates a whole lot of perception about your church or your leader. Probably the person who is even hurting you doesn't even know that what he's doing has probably is going to hurt you to that extent. So I believe that we have to be very honest, very open to whatever situation we find ourselves in church. And then, I mean, it shouldn't be in a form of confrontation, but in a nice way, let people know that, I mean, this is what happened to me. This is what you did. Like in the instance, in Elder Jumon's situation, for instance, he said he had it at the back of his mind that he's not going to be in that church again, you know. But it would have been nice for probably him to take a different approach. Like you talk to the pastor that, I know we are praying. However, the best thing is I don't have a car to move around. Probably, so how can the church help me get a car? So those are the things. It's not everything that we need to take it, um harbor it within us, because mind you, the church is also filled with human beings, and it is not a perfect institution. We are all coming from different places with different characters and from different backgrounds, and we are being perfected by God. So I believe that whatever happens to you in a church setting or if anybody hurts you, you have to be very honest, you have to be very sincere, you have to be very open, and then just open up and let people know that this and that you've done to me, or this is what you did to me the other day. And I believe this is the best way. I mean, it's not so you need to talk about issues. We don't have to harbor things in us to create any form of tension in the church, because it doesn't help the church to grow. Thank you.
That is a good one. Thank you very much. I would like to know, and David, I'm going to start with you. Why do men struggle to talk about pain or trauma? Is there a reason at all?
Um, I think men don't struggle to talk about pain and trauma, but then who they talk to is the problem. So they choose to talk to people that they knows their situation, and mostly they talk to men who they know, just as Elder said, who they know and feel they share the same sentiment. So if you find a group of guys who are politically inclined, you will see that they will talk about pets or traumas that they have had in politics. If you find a group of guys who are church based, they will talk about traumas or issues that they have had in church. So it's one based on where that hurt came from. Men don't tend to talk about all their issues to one particular person or one particular group. So it will be very difficult for you to see two men that knows almost every issue that is ongoing. If they are men that do like perform certain activities, you see that they will share their vulnerabilities or challenges or traumas within that group. So the church people, you see that I'm talking about Charlie. What the church did to me was really bad, or what this elder did to me. Charlie, what how the church is going is really bad. I'm not feeling okay here, and hardly do they talk to women or let me say their wives or partners on certain issues. Even if they will talk to them, they don't go deeper. They go very shallow with it because experience has shown that talking too much might lead you getting it out because if you get hurt, just as Elder said, your wife will also feel hurt. And what if she's not able to contain it the way you contain and she explodes? And even within the church, when I'm talking, if I'm talking to elder, I wouldn't share my challenges with the church elders. I'll share my challenges with church elders to somebody that I feel we are at par and we are all on the same level. So men are very picky when sharing their traumas and vulnerabilities. It is not that they don't share, but then they are very picky. And when somebody is picky, hardly do they make it like a regular habit to share. They always they always consider who am I sharing it, why am I sharing it, what am I sharing, and how am I sharing, and then even when am I sharing. So all these things come together to inform how men have conversations around their trauma and vulnerabilities. So men do share, but then all these things play a role in that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So what I heard you say is that you do share, but you try to find who to share it with, right? And then I think from most of the submissions that have come, you don't have one particular person that you share everything with. And that's a little bit, I don't know the word to use it, but Emmanuel, I'm gonna go to you. So I want you to answer the same question, right? Why men struggle to share their vulnerabilities and then their hurt. But also, I want you to add a layer that why do you also struggle to share it with your partners?
I think men are being raised to keep certain things, or when they go through stuff. Like with my experience with my dad, uh, I don't even like to share certain things with him because I'm thinking about what is he gonna say How is he going to present it? How is he going to help me? But it was the best time for me to rather discuss with him. Like I was thinking, when it comes to certain things, vulnerability becomes a problem in our society as well as in the local church or in the world we find ourselves. But the thing is, if you don't talk to somebody about it too, it becomes heavy on you. If you don't discuss with somebody you trust so much, it becomes a problem that you cannot even. So finding time and also to think about the thing that happened. I think meditation can also help you. You meditate, you pray, you do activities that makes you feel like this is you again. I had an experience with a pastor, and that like almost just like what Elder said, I almost stopped the church. But it's a church that I was born into, and I believe that things will happen. People will step on you, so many things, and that makes you stronger along the way. So it also comes to a point of teaching us how to meditate on certain things, how to have time for ourselves and think about the actual thing that happened and how you are going to handle it in the next time again, because you don't want that thing to happen for you not to have a solution. So in a way of men not being able to speak out because we think speaking it out too much will also create another layer of a problem, for my understanding, because somebody will not give me the solution I'm going to be expecting, but yet you try to discuss it with somebody that you can also trust as well, just like what has come earlier. Emotional intelligence also helps us, and all these things are things that we need to come back to ourselves, relax, and try to understand where this whole thing is coming from, how and when, and what you will do to help you in a way that next time when it happens again, you know how to handle it. Next time when it happens again, you know how to go by it. So that is why it becomes a problem for you to talk to somebody about it. But I think you will definitely find somebody to talk to about it, because you also need that to help you handle yourself in a different way, so that when that time comes, you will know how to handle such issues. So it is also good to be open up, but in a nice way, in a way that will help you get the understanding of the whole thing that happened. Yeah. So admitting that that everything will not be that straight, everything will not be that smooth, also helps you to grow in that aspect. Yeah.
Man, man, I appreciate that. By a show of hands, since I don't know, how many of us are married on here? Okay. All right. Okay, great. All right, good. So then I know who to ask this question to. All right. So, um, Elder Ernest. So trauma comes in many various forms. What trauma has you specifically had in your life that you found it the most difficult to even mention it to your wife, only from the perspective of the ideology of that you are being a man by not sharing?
That's a that's a big question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
then I like Elder Sam to prepare himself because you're next.
Okay.
yeah. So for me, I mean, myself and my wife, we have what we call the transparency gauge. The transparency gauge in the sense that we don't hide anything from anyone, except that being a man, sometimes when it comes to issues of finances, sometimes we do our own stuff, right? But I recall back in when we got married, and that was way back 18 years ago, and there was a young lady in church that told me point blank that she loves me, and so I mean she will do everything, she'll go to every extent to make sure that he takes me away from my wife. This was this was very something huge. It took me one whole year thinking about what to do because I knew that I had pledged to God that I will not defile myself until I get the age of 29 years. And at the age of 29 years, I should get married, no matter what. I didn't know what was ahead of me, but that was what I have purpose in my heart. So when after getting married and this whole thing came out, initially I felt like, oh, I was trying to be a man. So I'll try to just, not give the lady a face, but this was a lady who was a member sitting in the same church with us. And so it was difficult. So at one time, I felt like, look, I've reached a stage where I have to do the most shameful thing. The most shameful thing. I told them my wife has traveled. My wife was in the house. And then I invited her to the house. Because I've gotten it to the level of that if I'm not careful, it is easy for me to fall. So I invited this lady to the house. My wife was home. And then when she came, he has sat down. My wife was inside. I told her that she should wait. I'll let my children serve her and everything. And then she was there. And then my wife showed up. And then the facial expression changed. And then, but proud to me inviting her, I've also told my wife that there's this lady who is tempting me, that she loves me, she's going to take me away from her. So I have told my wife was already prepared. And then when she came in, I just introduced her to my wife that, hey, Sophia, this is my wife, Esther. Esther, this is my friend, Sophia. Sophia is the lady I talked to you about. We are all in children ministry as teachers. I went to youth. She remained at children ministry, blah, blah, blah. And then the first thing that my wife, the conversation was that, I don't know before now. It is only a witch who only want that, and that was it. And from what we used to stay in Ghana, we used to stay in Bosori, and that lady lives in Brokroom. Trust me, the lady walked all the way from Bosori to Brokroom because she was not ready for me to go and drop her. He was not going to sit in my car because he felt he thought I was a man. But that thing that I did shows that I am more foolish than even what a lady would do. He said at this point blank. It's not like she said it to me because she didn't get her way out. She didn't get what she wanted. So that was it. And today, lucky for her, she's got married. She's now living in the UK with her wife and the husband. And sometimes she calls me and we talk. And my wife is like, if I give you even my husband is going to enjoy you, but she will still come back to the house. So better stay off and look for your own. That is the only way that is going to help you out. And I really don't know if he really took my wife's advice, but trust me, since that time, this lady, even when she see me passing by, she will go and pass by 2 miles away from where I am because he felt I wasn't man enough. But at least that was good for me because it saves me from what? From distraction or from entangle myself in any situation. So yes, but like the question that you asked, for me, I don't think it makes me. I noticed it didn't make me weaker. I felt though I didn't handle it in a more matured way, but it was the best way for me at that time. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. Trust me.
I still can't get over your wife's first comment. I know you're
Oh yeah,
you a witch?
Yeah, you are a witch. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Wow, that's an incredible way to handle it. I don't know how you are so bold to actually tell your wife, like, hey, I'm about to bring a lady who wants to take me away. Let's see how you're gonna handle this. That's bold. Elder Sam, I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to top that one off, but I'm interested to hear what you may have.
Wow. I mean, Elder Jamal made it so practical. I mean, it happens to everyone, life is more filled with issues. I remember when I was about to marry, at some point in time, we had all the plans in place and all that, but I mean, finances was not forthcoming at some point in time. And I didn't also want to take money from anywhere. And then I remember my wife was trying to push me as at that time to I mean, she was asking me about, so how are we going to solve this? And I kept telling her, oh, just give yourself time. We just a matter of time, you know? And I mean, God being so good, I was able to go. Even I didn't tell her I didn't have that money as at the time we were planning and everything. In fact, we had planned, we had spent money, but we needed some money to pay for some bills and to make the whole thing. I mean, what we have to, I mean, and the date was fast approaching. But one thing that I know is that um it depends on the kind of woman that God gives you. Some of the women, they are even able to help you relieve you from your trauma if you share with them. Some of them will also make the trauma worse than before. Because, like my situation, for instance, if you are not careful and you don't know the woman you're marrying who is not able to absorb certain shocks and all that, they will ask you, oh, so then why did you push me into this? Why did you know those kind of things will make you more vulnerable, and it's going to cause you more hurt and trauma than any other thing. So I believe that women in our life have strengths and weaknesses. So we need to know as to when we have to share certain information with them and their reactions and the impact of their reactions on us. Some of them, the reaction is that it's going to make the case worse. Some of them will give you more encouragement and they'll have all the shocks to let you feel that it is not over yet. Just keep pushing. And let's keep trusting God. So it depends on the kind of woman you marry. So I believe that we need to know whoever we marry, their strength and their weaknesses, and how they approach issues in life. And that will guide you as to the kind of information you have to release onto them. And that's it. That's the submission I have. Thank you.
No, thank you, thank you.
I don't know
I am.
whether the question is well answered. I mean,
No, you answered it, because I think for both of you, you come from a place of maturity, a place of trying to be as transparent as possible, specifically to your spouse, to be able to do it. I got to tell you from experience, not all men do that. Some men handle it very, very differently for various different reasons. So I'm grateful to God that you guys come from a place where you're confident in who you are to be able to address it, as such. I'll go to God bless, and then to Emmanuel. Was there ever a time that you felt broken in within yourself, but you could not relay it to your family or to even express how broken you were? Whatever the struggles were, was there ever a time you felt that way and you could not relate it to your family? And why? God bless you first,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
Emmanuel.
yeah. There's been like a particular points like that, and you know, there was this time where um right after high school, there is this kind of, I don't know if it's everyone, but it's just this transition that you go through, that you tend to see life in a different light, right? So let me give you a particular scenario um, that happened. So at one point, I was so much like drifted away from God, even though I was born into church. I was going to church every day with my family and all that. But I was drifted away to the point that I was arguing with my parents about certain petty things that I was being taught back in church. Like, I didn't, I was like, what is this? Why are we doing this? And, these kind of things, it's not something that you are broken physically. Maybe someone did something to you, but due to the kind of information that you've been exposed to, your soul, there seems to be a fracture. You've sustained some wounds because of the kind of information, the kind of things, worldly things that you've been exposed to because of where you went to, let's say high school. So I couldn't relate it or connect it to my family, in the sense that we are all going to church. My parents, my younger siblings, they are all doing their part going to church, and I was following them. But at the same time, there were these things that I was going through, some kind of questions that I was asking at this point in my life, certain things that were very unnecessary when I think about them now, so like unnecessary. And I was kind of like dealing with these things at a very critical point because I didn't understand a lot of things that we were doing. So when I try to argue it out with them, it seems like we are all going to church, but you are kind of like not part of us, even though you follow us to church, but at the same time you are secluded. And the reason why this thing is like that is primarily because, you know, the world that they lived in when they were growing up is a little different, if not totally different, from what I lived in or I'm living in right now. And there are certain things that you've been exposed to, or when you try to kind of like connect, reconcile with them, you don't get the basis to stand on. It's like you are living in a completely different world. There are a lot of things that you're exposed to, a lot of, let's say, sins and things that you are committing that were not accessible in their time, right? So you are going through all these things and they can't seem to relate with these things. And sometimes they even think that, oh, our son or our child is going in the right way, right? They are praying to God, trying to bring you back on the right path, but you seem so far away, like the prodigal son. So to wrap it all up, going through that situation, I couldn't connect because even though I was with them physically, but in some sense I was very far from them, like in the sense of how they raised me as a Christian boy, the kind of things that I was doing prior to, high school and all that, right? So it's like the prodigal son situation. There was a time that you were this child that we could count on, you were close to us, but due to certain things that you've been exposed to, certain things that you've gone through, certain things that you've heard and known, you seem so far away, and they are trying their best to bring you on the right path, right? So I think that's primarily something that I can share on that.
Wow. Thank you. Wow. Emmanuel.
Excuse me. Can you say the question one more time?
Sure, absolutely. No, I was thinking and was wondering that was there ever a time you were going through a struggle or a certain part of your life where you felt brokenness, but you could not relate it to your family, or you felt that you couldn't share it with them? And why was the reason why you felt like you couldn't share it with them?
Well, especially when it comes to finances, there are certain things that I just want to keep it to myself and handle it as a man. So most of the time, I don't want to share that part because I feel like it makes me looks very weak.
Mm,
It makes me look very vulnerable as well. So I feel like keeping that to myself. But sometimes at the end of the day, I'll be thinking like, oh, if I should have shared it, would that have helped the situation rather like more faster, or in a way of me not going through that problem, that situation in a long time? But yet I keep it to myself and then try to do stuff with my own understanding, try to handle it in a way that will not also affect the people around me or my family as well. So in that situation, I think it has improved my mindset in a way that next time I'll know that, oh, it will be more of a better way to share it, because you might think that that person will not help as much, but that will rather help as much, because putting one or two together becomes three, or putting things together, it helps the idea of solving the problem. Like you are thinking that, oh, I think I can handle this in my own way within these certain times, but sharing it with your partner or sharing it with somebody that you can trust will rather bring the solution as faster as possible. So I've learned in that situation that it's not a good thing. Sometimes it's good to keep it for a time, but sometimes I think it's also the best to share it so that solution will come as soon as possible, so that it will not be like, oh, I think we have to take care of this thing, but yet there hasn't been solution and I'm trying to do it, like circle it around my strength. So
mm,
it makes you more vulnerable in a way that you become stressful, you become prayerless, Like the things that you even do to make you look yourself is no longer there. So it will be very, very good that you share that idea as soon as possible so that you can have solution in a timely manner. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. I'll be right before. Go ahead. Go ahead.
let me just chip in this one. So let me give
Yes,
you
sir.
this scenario. So so I relocated from New Jersey, right? And when I was coming, I closed my house on the November 11th. I lost my job on the 1st. Now we relocated. My wife is not working, myself not working. And then I brought in all the entire family. I am a man of prayer. Trust me. If there's anybody that prays more than me, yes, I don't know. I have a prayer warriors. I have a prayer team. We have all been praying. And we have prayed to the extent that, to the point that you feel like even the resumes that you are putting in, right? You are not getting rejection. If you are getting rejection, it tells you that somebody is seeing your resume. But here is you are being ghosted. You don't get the response, you don't get the reply. 3 weeks after, that same role is being posted or is being advertised back again. So consistently, and then within a month or 2 months, you've put in more than 500 applications and there's no results. Trust me, if you ever reach that point, you feel like giving up. The pain in you is like that's how many is there. You can ask him. He's part of the prayer team. We've been praying. We have men, gurus, men of prayers who are interceding, and there's nothing coming. So when they get to that stage, it is not the unanswering that is the problem. It is the difficulties that you are going through to ensure that you pay off your mortgage, you provide food on the table for your children, and then there's sufficiency in the house. And being a leader, when you're a leader in this, this kind of situation, trust me, I don't know if somebody has ever experienced it, but when you reach that stage, the brokenness in you, it's not like you are not sharing. You are sharing it with people who are supporting you prayerfully. And then when you turn your mind back to people that you know financially, you have not necessarily you gave them a loan, but financially you have supported them before. And so you are seeking for help. And then the reply you get is that, oh, Charlie, me cry, me ho akyere me pa, me ma me papa no nyina ehia sika o Ghana. Somebody that you like you took about 10,000 just gave it to him because he was in need. And then when you are asking, oh, is there any way he can help you in this situation? And he's giving you storage. The brokenness in you or the hurt in you is so much that you cannot more absorb. And so sometimes if you read in the Bible, I think in the book of is it Second Kings or something, at a point, Jehoshaphat had reached a stage where he said, oh God, are you no more the God of Israel? Are you no more the God of the heavens and the earth? Are you not the one who defeated the enemies? Are you sitting down, Theo? Are you sitting down to let the enemy consume us? He wasn't, it's not because he was afraid of the war that was coming, but he was so much worried that he had a God who was so powerful. But at that point, God was so silent. That is the problem with it. So it is difficult, but when you reach that stage, I pray that God should, He being the source, should provide He should resource us so that we can continue the journey. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Albie, did you say you had a question?
No, not anymore. I'm really enjoying this conversation.
Okay. You're being blessed by being the only woman on here, and you're just soaking it in, huh?
Yes,
Right.
I'm just trying to understand and how they think and all of that.
That's okay. We'll just have your husband on here next, and then we'll ask him the
And you
questions.
know what? You know the interesting thing though, I think we as women, like when we are hurt by something, we just talk about it. And that's it for us. We may have a pain, but the way we heal is by talking. So gone are the days where you would see a certain look on my face and you would ask me, are you okay? And I'll say yes. If you ask me today, are you okay? I'll say no, I'm very angry with you. You have really annoyed me. Like I'll just go straight to the point. And I realized that there is more healing in that for me than to just pretend and give you that silent treatment and all of those things. So yeah, I'm really learning from all of you. I like the fact that, and I like how David answered the question. He said it's not like you don't share, you share, you just need to find your own people. So yeah, I pray that everybody finds their own person or something so that you don't have to harbor all that pain in your heart. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm glad. Well, we give glory to God. Let me go back to David then, since you brought him up. David, like the idea of being a man for you, where did that come from? And I'm only asking that in premise of the fact that how did the relationship of your father, or maybe in some instances the absent of one, how did it shape your mind of what a man is and the man you eventually became?
Okay, so for me, I learned it from multiple people, not just my father, but from multiple people because growing up, there were a lot of things that I was learning from other people and my father as well. So the things that I didn't like about my father, I didn't repeat it, and the things that I like about him, I repeat, like I'm living it. And I was looking around. I'm very like I do observe a lot. I look around and I observe a lot. So when I observe something and I see, okay, this behavior, this kind of life is not good, I'm not going to do it. So even in my teaching, when I'm like, there are certain things, certain ways that we were taught in Ghana that I feel like this is not right. And coming here, I've seen similar patterns, and I'm like, I'm not going to go through these patterns. I'm changing the pattern. So for me, being a man is being present and taking full responsibility. But then also taking full responsibility doesn't make you like a dictator or somebody who, when you say nobody does, nobody says some, or when you want to do something, you don't want anybody to come around. Like being prideful and all that isn't something that should come in as a man. As a man, being responsible doesn't mean you should carry it all. Being responsible means you should be able to share the um, whatever that is going on. So if it is financial difficulty that you are going through, you are able to share it with your wife or with your partner to understand that okay, this is where we are, and I think we need to make this decision. And what do you think should be done? So I feel as a man and as a leader, as a man, you should always have that kind of leadership quality in you. And being a leader, you should be responsible. And being responsible means being able to share or delegate tasks without losing track of what you do. So that is how I've lived, like I've lived my life, making sure I become responsible and then also not doing too much, and I allow life to go as it is. Yeah.
Okay. No, that makes sense to me. Elder Sam, and then I'll go to God bless after that. Same question to you both. How is the things that you have learned from your father or father figure, and the things that you know that you wouldn't want for yourself, do you find yourself subconsciously repeating it? And if so, how do we break away from that?
Okay, so I believe there are things and there are ways that we grew up. I mean, we were all treated differently from different homes, but I will speak for myself. I believe that coming from probably a family of six in the same house, six children or siblings, and a whole like the big family settings. Um, I believe one of the things that I learned was that my dad was a father figure in the house. You know, African fathers, they will beat you when you go wrong. They won't spare you. They will make sure. There are times I do stuff and then he will tell me, I'm not going to let this go. I'll beat, probably might not be today, but I'll beat you. And truly he will make sure that he beats you. He will make sure you he will make he will make sure he will not spare you. And sometimes you are deep asleep in the night and he come and wake you up and he will tell you that I told you I was going to beat you and now is the time. And then he'll beat you and then you'll sleep. You see? So, growing up from that kind of settings, family settings, and that kind of experience. I mean, it's I've grown up to know that it's really shaped me. I didn't really understand him when he was doing that at some point in time. These days, it is very hard for you to have some of these fathers around. But I mean, personally, I will not beat my kids. I believe that there's a better approach to life issues than beating him, or I mean,
Wait till you get
cracking a whip on him. Yeah. You know how even our teachers will beat us back home in Africa, mental drills and all that in the mornings, and the way they treated us and all that. These days, it's hard for you to just pick a cane and crack it or whip a child. But I believe all those things shaped us to be what we are today, because at some point in time, you go through all the processes in life. You've had it. You've learned to live in abundance. You've learned to live in scarcity. You've learned to do a whole lot of things. And that has really shaped all of us to be where we are today. So I believe that there were things, or there were treatment that were given to us that it might not be the best as at that time, but that was the order of the day. I mean, growing up in Ghana, you know that every child, when you go wrong, they will beat you in the house. So you better behave well, and you make sure that you do the right things. Unlike where we find ourselves now, where children will come and ask you all the difficult questions you can't even answer, you know. So it's in a way also broke some sort of communication between me and my dad at some point in time, because it will let me keep a lot of things in me. I wouldn't expose, I wouldn't ask, I wouldn't talk about certain things, because I know that if I say certain things and I don't even say it well, the next thing is that you're bubble, you know. So you want to make sure that you keep certain things to yourself. And um the reverse, or the growing up, I've also learned that I'm not going to go that route, but it really helped me. But I'm not going that route because the case of this generation are quite different from where we are coming from. So you need to better adopt a different approach that may really work for you, and to help you raise God's giving, or God's giving children or kids, and to make your home a better one. And through it all, prayer is also something we can't leave out. We need to always make sure that we trust God for every process that we find ourselves in.
Man, oh, thank you for that. So I'm glad to know that I wasn't the only one that was being like beaten. Personally, I think I deserve probably about 98% of them. You know,
Yeah, there you go. Oh, God.
I have to give myself some wiggle room. I don't think I deserved all of them, but
Like
98%.
98%.
Probably, you know, God bless. Like, you know, I'm gonna add more to you, because I feel like now, Elder was saying that, you know, now we're having a different way of, you know, raising our children, so we don't beat them as much. I have a tendency to think we're just afraid of CPS, you know, Child Protective Service. If that wasn't there, we probably would be doing the same thing. Because you mentioned something, Elder. You said that even though it helped me, I don't think I'll be doing the same. And I'm thinking, well, if it helped you, why not continue the same thing, right?
I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
No,
Did you deserve
Why
it?
it helped you?
Did you deserve it? That's the question.
You see,
It helped you.
Because
it doesn't neglect the fact that it was wrong. The mere fact that you didn't like it didn't mean it was wrong. Sometimes when you sit back and reflect and remember some of the things that you were doing, you really know that if your father hasn't, caned the hell out of you, you have been a different person altogether now.
100%.
If
Some of the beatings, I tell
if you have-
you
No, understand. If you have children now, especially those at the age of 12 to 16 years, and sometimes the banter, you feel like, I recall when one of my kids messed up like that, and I said, well, because I can't beat you, I'm making a hell out of everything. Okay, I'm taking you to Ghana. The next day he went to school, he came back and said that the book of Ghana. So if that was to be used as a punishment. Now, in her mind, he thinks that take me back. You understand? So,
Yeah.
but somebody just posted on the chat that wait till you get to some of the case. When your children begin to the age of 12, 13 to 16 years, and when they begin to feel like disobedience is the order in the house, trust me, if you are not a father, you go every extent. What has helped me a lot that when I came back in US in 2018, there was this older man that met me at church when I went to introduce myself with my kids. He said, Eda, if you don't want to get pressure, be careful with your children. This is the word of this man. The man is about 80 something years now. Because the sort of things this kid begins to do will definitely put you at the point of you using the cane. So it's not like the caning wasn't good. The other caning that was so bad was the one from our teachers, the mental one. Because the teacher is frustrated and had a fight with the wife in the house. He comes to school and he wants to release the pressure.
Everything on you.
Yeah, everything on you. And that's where I never pass any mental distance. So when you pass the person, I start with my hand on my head.
God bless. It actually ties right into the question I was going to ask you anyway. So thank you for that, Elder, because in addition to you answering the previous question, which was what happened from your father or your father figure that you're trying not to repeat. But the second part of it is that, is there a difference between beating and discipline? And if so, what that is? Because Elder alluded to the difference, but I want you to elaborate on it if you have one.
That's a very beautiful question.
Okay.
Is it to me?
Yes, it's to you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Elder. I think one of the things that, I personally wouldn't repeat in my life from a father figure or from a dad is, not giving a reason as to why we do certain things, right? So this one, it ties to disciplining a child, telling a child not to do something, telling a child to do something. There should be a definite reason as to why that child should do that, right? And I think that one will lead me to answering that question. So if you are trying to discipline your child or punish your child, let there be a reason. Communicate the reason to that child. Let it not be out of thin air that you are doing it because you have to do it as a father, right? And sometimes it's like the kind of society that we live in sets a kind of threshold that you have to do this, else your child will do this, right? But there have been several cases, in fact, like numerous cases. Some of my friends, some are colleagues and other things, that they've been punished, they've been dealt with the rod in a very efficient way, yet still they went out of their way to still disobey and do really bad things and terrible things. So I think one thing that I wouldn't extend is not giving a reason. For example, by God's grace, if I give birth, when I give birth to my children, I'll give them a reason as to why they should do something, why they shouldn't do something, and why maybe I'm punishing them or something, right? And the difference between beating and discipline. Beating is, not giving a reason in a way, like you are just beating. Sometimes,
There are two beating next week. How can a father just beat you? There should be a reason. Or how can your parent just beat you? There will be a reason.
Yeah,
some of the fathers, even if they
frustration.
don't have money, they will bring their frustration
Out
on
of
you.
frustration. Frustration is.
So if you know your dad
selective,
is frustrated, why do you do what will lead him to beat you?
A child needs. A child can do some things that are, as an adult you see as a stupid thing, right? And for example, there are certain things that don't require beating necessarily. If you think about it,
So
there could have
give me
been
one.
better ways to solve it, or to help the child grow from that thing, or solve that problem.
God bless,
But-
give me one example.
So for example, let's say you are playing, right? And then there is like a cup of water that your dad has set there, and then mistakenly you hit the cup, and then a father can beat you.
You see,
A father
sometimes
can beat
we
you
think
for
of
that.
you having like what we call Ephesians and common sense. So you know there is a cup of water there,
Oh, a
and
child,
you are doing
bro. A child.
acrobatics,
Acrobatics. A
close.
child.
You are doing acrobatics close to the cup of water.
No.
So it means you are refusing to use the Ethiopians and the common
Yes.
sense.
So this
So we
also
will
beating.
bring this back into you.
Okay, let me ask this. How many children do you think will do that? How many children do you think will do that thing?
This one I want
Even
to
if they
defend
see the cup there.
godless. Some
There are
things don't call
several
for
kids that
beating.
are going to do that thing when they see the cup there. So it's like children are children, guys. Children are children. They don't know more. They don't.
No.
Sometimes they do things even if they know it's wrong. Children are children, but the kind of way that you deal with such situation tells more of you as a father. Sometimes you have your frustrations already, and just this little cup of water that have been poured away. You add all the frustrations from your great grandfather and you beat the child. That's beating. But when you are disciplining the child, there can be different approaches to punishing the child, right? You can use a different method to kind of, discipline the child not to do that thing again, right? By you beating the person, usually with a rod or a belt or something like that. It's not all the cases that, you require to, put all those kind of pain, inflict all those pain on children because they've done something. There should be other ways. And as I said, let the reason be concrete. If you punish a child, sometimes you tell the person why you did what you did, but it doesn't mean you've communicated the reason. Sometimes I told you not to go here and you went there, or I told you not to do this and you did this. I told you to do this chores and you didn't do it. You told the person or you told the child, but a child is a child. You have to make sure the reason is communicated effectively. Else there will be repetition. Do you remember how many times that your parents told you to do something and then they punish you for that and then you did the same thing again? Think about it. You've done it several times. And this is due to the lack of communication, the proper ways that the reasons are being communicated to our children, right? So if that thing is not communicated to you effectively, it's gonna happen that way, that they will punish you and you still do the same thing again. But to kind of wrap it up, I think one important thing that I don't even know the reason, but it's like very important that children, sometimes you do all your part as a parent and they can still go haywire. And I asked this question during Bible says the other time that what happens where a child is raised in a godly home and the parents are doing their best, they are praying and doing all these things, disciplining the child, but yet still children still go haywire. What thing do you do in that situation, right? So I think ultimately you have to leave it in the hands of God, but beating and discipline should be distinguished so that you discipline the child with a particular reason. I know Elder wants to.
Yeah, give me a
rebut
point.
you.
Let me just step in a bit. So I understand God bless is yet to tie the knot, and also when you start having children, maybe you understand a lot of things better. Now, growing up, what made our parents, some of our fathers, have disciplined us a lot was because he went to work, he's frustrated coming from work. He come home, the child did something wrong. Instead of Abby to punish the child, Abby said, "You wait, your father will come and meet you." And then when the father has come home, he's frustrated, he's so tired. Hey, Obano, your child, blah, 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 blah. And then out of frustration, the father would discipline the child without even explaining why he's doing A, B, or C. And that is the point. Now, let me use myself as an example. So in my house, we don't want to encourage bringing shoes or any shoes at all upstairs, right? It is not. If you bring it upstairs, there's a closet, keep it in. Now this morning, I noticed that my first girl has it in a room, my oldest girl has it, my second girl has it in a room, my boy has it in the room, and I call all of them and begin to show them this is unacceptable. Now, in their mindset, what they are thinking is that, but daddy, because it's in our bag. Now, the thing was in their bag, and then gradually from their bag, it has gotten onto the carpet. So the next time that you realize, they'll be wearing it all the way from upstairs, climb the steps, and then come to the top here. We want to ensure that we discipline our children with love. That is what was, missing in the early part of it. But children of today thinks they know much more than what their parents know. And that is where the conflict comes in. So if I'm talking to my child, I expect my child to listen. When I'm done, he starts also talk, and then we keep a jojo. But when you are talking, children of today will want to interrupt you and tell you what they think should be the right thing. So many a time I've told my children that, listen, until you get up from my roof, I have to train you in the way for me as a father, I have to train you. Don't tell me how I should train you. Because children today wants to tell you how you are to train them. It doesn't work. So God bless. I understand when you tie the knot and then your kids begin to grow, you understand the pressure from where we are coming from. We want to correct in love. We want to discipline in love. Whether it is discipline or beating, I don't think any father at all will be so mad that you just take a cane or belt and start beating their children when they've done nothing. That was what Professor was asking. Because I remember back in the days, it was Christmas. We had a party to go. And then I joined some friends of mine. And when we went to KUST campus, Okodie Road, searching for mangoes. When at that time, mangoes were even gone. And then it took us 8 hours of the day. My father had to go to the radio station. He has to announce on Continental. He has to go to, then time was Otech and I think Capital Radio, whatever. He was announcing, searching for me. The pressure alone that he was harboring was what made him discipline. When he saw me, hell, I don't want to say that was it wasn't beating. This one was like
Fist fight.
trust me, he just picked me up and threw me out into the room. And though I didn't understand, but after years and realizing that, so in that context, I thought my father didn't love me. I said to myself, my father didn't love me. But when I realized the severity of my action then, trust me, it could have been a different thing altogether. So I don't think any father would just wake up in I don't know the level of pressure or whatever is going on in his mind and begin to what? Spank or be slapping or be beating the child. No, fathers don't do that. We want to discipline our children in the way they should go so that when they are old, they will never depart from it. So the very thing that Samuel was saying that it helped him, it means that whatever the father was doing the right thing. It wasn't that he was beating him mercilessly. If he was messing up, he would just add the silly to it. So mercy and mercilessly, and then you combine, and that's it. You'll be fine. So God bless you. I will leave you for now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for all your submissions. I'd like to read a few comments that we have from those joining us on Facebook and YouTube. So we have Ebenezer Abla saying, it depends on those you share with within the family circle. I think it was in relation to an earlier discussion. And we have Justice Apia saying, great point, Albie. Thank you, Justice. We have Mrs. Sarkodia. Hi, Mrs. That's Sarkodia's wife, by the way, Sinclair's wife. She said, just wait until you get some kids. So I think it was in relation to the discipline and the beating and all of that. And Justice Apia is saying, guys, that God bless make his point. So he has a good point. There are so many beating adventures that parents, especially African parents, have undertaken that was obviously from frustrations. And I think that is true. Some of the beatings, they just don't make sense. And sometimes, and you know, I'm a mom, so I can make a point. There are things that my kids do sometimes that I'm tempted to spank them, but then when I pause, I'm like, this thing is not really a thing. Because you imagine like your kids are eating and then they spill food, they spill water, and all of those things. Supposing you had a cleaner coming in, would it be an issue? Like they are just kids, they are eating. So at that point, you are not frustrated. I think parenting becomes harder. And that leads to all of these unnecessary beatings when one, you are stressed financially, and two, you don't have help, you don't have support, you are just doing it all by yourself. But there are certain people that in their homes, they actually have a structure. they just concentrate on being the best parents they can be and training their children. Like imagine beating a 2-year-old for spilling food. Come on, like, what are you really going to achieve? Like nothing, I believe. There are ways that you can teach them. And sometimes, like in some homes, for instance, if you say you won't eat something, that alone calls for a beating. Like your parents will beat you because you said you don't want to eat. If you don't want to eat this food, you just don't want to eat it. Like as adults, we have a choice.
People in Africa starving. You get beaten if you don't eat the food. All right.
Exactly, like as adults, we have a choice to eat. Like today, I feel like eating fufu. I feel like eating banku. So if you are giving your kids something they don't want to eat, if it's not for lack of money, how does this call for beating?
Okay.
I
That's
mean,
a good point.
anyway, that's the question. Can I step in?
I would like,
Can I?
yeah, I would like
You wanted
David
to
to
say
have
things
the
and-
last.
and-
Yeah, I like David to have the last word.
Oh,
We
okay.
actually passed our time, so I'm gonna give the last word to David. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So, whatever we are saying is true. Sometimes parents beat or discipline their children harshly from frustration, others to sometimes from the point of love and care. But then, to what extent do we differentiate between this is love and this is care? Because slapping a kid for the kid to fall down, you might say that like out of frustration you did it, you wanted to correct, but your action, the way you did it, is above it. But then we know that most of us, our reaction or our behaviors are shaped from our beginning. In our homes, we've seen our parents live this kind of life. So either we embody it or we hate it. And most of the times, there are things that we see to be normal. So somebody growing up from an abusive home would see abuse as a normal thing. Somebody growing up in an abusive home will see abuse as something that is not needed. And if anybody tries to abuse, the people tend to react. So some of our parents, they tend to discipline in abusive way. They would want to correct you, but how they correct you is more of abuse because they have seen this before and they don't want it to happen to you. So they have seen their kids or they have seen younger people or their age mates who were involving in let me go extra, who are involving in immorality that has led them into a whole lot of things. So when they see their kids indulging in that, out of frustration and the experience that they tend to react. And that reaction could be more abusive. Even though they want to correct, it tends to be abusive. So the mother or the father will go and pick up a cane and will be lashing the kid with like no words. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? So these things are what really we should look at. How you do the disciplining. It's not even about the discipline, how you do it. Because you would want to, sometimes they said spare the rod and spoil the child, and you don't want to do that. Sometimes certain discipline needs physical actions. But then how are you even going to like cane this child, which is something that most people don't want to hear, that you cane people or like you use rod on people. Yes, it is something that is not supposed to be done. But sometimes people are left with no other choice but to use it. But then in your using, how are you using it?
Yes.
So you should check your anger even before you react. If you are a parent that has anger issues, you should restrain yourself from disciplining your kids when they fault at that moment. You should step back. So learning to step back and giving yourself time is a best way to go around it, rather than like immediately the thing happen, you try to react. Because if you react based on your anger issues and stuff, you might do something that you will regret later. And somebody made a comment that it's African parents, but literature has shown that it is not just African parents, it's all over around the world. All over the world, parents do that. some parents even tend to throw their kids away from house because they are frustrated. That punishment is even worse than lashing the kid, because now you have made the kid to go out of the house. The kid doesn't know what to do again. So the best thing is to learn how anger management and emotional intelligence. Learn anger management and emotional intelligence as parents. And I think what Abby said, sometimes you just step back and be like, oh, it doesn't really need any discipline, just need talking. So as parents, I think this is some ways that we can go around it. I know it can be frustrating dealing with kids, but if we try to step back and take actions later, I think it will help rather than taking actions that very moment. Yeah.
Amen. Man, well said. Well said. Well said. Thank you so much. We have extended past our time than we need to. I think I will bring you guys back because we need to extend this conversation further. Real quickly, I'll read the last two comments come from Pia says, how you do the discipline. It's how you do the discipline. Yeah, that's a good point. She also said, what I've learned is responding instead of reacting. Responding over the action to be taken, but reaction is spontaneous action without thoughtfulness. All right, last comment was, I'm thinking it's the same thing. Yeah, it looks like it's the same thing. Okay, all right, so great points. Thank you guys. It's been amazing. I will do a part 2 of this. I have to talk to management and let them know. I already have the title for it. I'm gonna tell you the title right now. This is what it says. Unspoken Wounds, Preventing the Transfer of Trauma from Manhood to Fatherhood. Because at the point where we are, we need to focus on that, because what our fathers taught us is what sometimes we are doing, and it's not good for the next generation. So I pray that God would enable us for us to come back and continue this conversation. I don't have any announcement. Albie, do you have any announcement?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Just want
Excellent.
To thank all our panelists for coming.
Excellent. We'll tell all our panelists, stay on. We have something for you when we finish. For all of you guys joining us, join us again next time. Join us on Great Minds. Come and let us reason together. Till next time, take care.
Great minds, come let us reason together. Great minds, we are open to reality. Oh, we want to know more. We are hungry for more. We are curious, always searching for the truth. Great minds, come let us reason together. Great minds, come let us reason together. Come let us reason. Great minds, come let us reason together.